right, try this one more time. It was fun. I read an article on Substack by Daniel Oppenheimer, I don't know him, called Persuasion, about how the left loses its people. I think that's the title. Then I discovered I couldn't comment at the end unless I was subscribed. And I thought, well, that's an irony. But having read the piece, yes, he has written a book on the subject called Exit Right, and opens his piece with a letter from Elon Musk in 2022 explaining why he was leaving the Democratic Party. Who knew? As a dyed-in-the-wool Labourite socialist from the British crucible of the 1970s, I knew I was in for a long and probably not sympathetic read, but could be interesting, amusing, or at least gobsmacking. After all, a paragraph with left, Musk, Democratic Party in it is going to be a smile for a London lad. Then lots of references to a left-wing past. Which? When? Then eschewing Karl Marx. What's a boy from Stoke Newington to think but balderdash? I think there's a lot of this about, though. I understand it. How old is the left for real? It might have begun, I think it did, in 1381 with the Peasants' Rebellion, and then was immediately shut down and ignored historically, where for some reason the virtually insignificant Martin Luther incident, nailing his precepts to a church door, gets the spotlight. Insignificant, I insist, unless you are a ruler, interested in rulers, or religious. Adam digged and Eve span, who then was a gentleman, wrote John Ball, for which he was excommunicated, then executed. I think he was burned. And what is then an intellectual, a master's degree, a professional manager in the world of WORK? It's okay. It's just semantics, probably. Daniel means that left. Now I'm not confused. The C. Wright Mills left. Quoted in an article by Tom Hayden about why he was voting for Hillary and not Bernie. That's Tom. He spoke of the stale metaphysics of the Labour, I can't remember what it was, as a political driving force on the left, that it should be about college graduates. So that's where I separate. Now I begin to know where I am. I have been left since I worked in the Jack Rose shoes factory at 17. I haven't left the left. He, she, or it, however, has left me. It was not then a movement for college graduates. It was not an intellectual movement. It is not complicated. And most Western countries have two parties at least, but the vying two usually represent very simply the two separate communities, the community that owns and them that work for them that own. Now, a third bunch have been born, and they must be catered to, the ones who speculate or don't work, which is not to knock it, except to say that opinion or speculation is universal. Bricklayers have opinions, largely unheard and assumed ones, but opinions nonetheless. Socrates' job was not being a philosopher or even a teacher. For these activities, he was not paid. He was not paid. He was a stonemason. Not sure if he was a bricklayer, apparently not very good at that either. A bricklayer or a sculptor, a bit of both. It's a sensitive topic for sure in a culture where having enough is not enough, where wealth and status is identity and the individuation is an irrelevance. It's very interesting. I'd look it up, individuation. I don't have time or space here. Justifying how much wealth the system allows a successful author compared to, say, an EMT worker, and how do they justify that? How do they create that author's worth relative to somebody who works in emergency medical treatment? You tell me. The opinionators I absorb on podcasts, valiant and brilliant, all of them, always squirm a little when tussling with inequality. They always find wealth somehow lucky or inherited or earned. It is never stolen. It is unfortunate there are poor people, and ladders should be more accessible so the poor can climb to what? The vacuousness of the top of the ladder doesn't enter the conversation. Or wealth is good, shame we can't all have it. Perhaps this is Daniel's conundrum, the search for meaning which the right offers. Mythological though it is, stupid and very effortful, it is still easier to absorb, especially if your work life is based on your specialness, your talent. It's very sexy. It is the myth of the ruling class since Cyrus the Great. Or a successful management opinionator lefty is a righty. Just a tolerant one. The new community must find its place. I don't think anyone of the Enlightenmenters had jobs either. They had sponsors. They were brilliant. They were paid for being brilliant. Oppenheimer talks about Elon's left cred as a developer of electric cars. Elon has tried that too. The problem here is that the lefty from Lampard Grove would say, I know that the cars are made by the people who made the cars and the engineers who invented them, not the guy who put $1 zillion into what the Chinese do better. And who, by the way, is the Chinese Elon Musk? The discussion is simple. It was my mistake to think we were engaging with anything I could relate to. Oh, that left, I could laugh. They are as much to me as the Three Musketeers. The left in the West has always been Western, and it's hard to find a place for exceptionalism or meritocracy in my left. You don't merit more than the bus driver, and none of you. Imagining society as some sort of playing field level enough for a real talent to shine is just not my left. I don't enjoy or value my neighbors on their 40-yard dash or mythological IQ. A left where young men refer to themselves as thought leaders is always leading right. Right where Elon went, or where he always was, slumming with the left, as he said, because they seemed kinder. Whether born elite or having a perky gift at school, Gary Stevenson, anyone, we are so suffused with this life of proving worth that being left is almost impossible for aspirers like Daniel. Sorry, dude. Karl Marx did warn us, but it is fun to wonder and investigate why. Reading more of C. Wright just got more uncomfortable and shed light on the strange creature the left politician must now be. Apart from the pit that is the Democratic Party, they must be little more than a snob. And listen to them. That's exactly what they sound like on the stump. How do we shoehorn the narcissism of the art of politicizing with the general interest in others necessary to be a man or woman of the people? Cesar Chavez was so great. Malcolm X, so great. Or sincerely, your theory means less than nothing and is more than dangerous. I don't think we can learn how to speak. Obama was gifted, but so is Butch Ware. If you are confused by Kamala Harris salad, especially masquerading as left, try some Neil Kinnock. Feel what the real thing is. The C right left and yours doesn't talk left, it babbles. It gives work to people trained with qualms. It twists and turns, genuflects and dodges. At best it is manipulation. But what speech has your left made that quickened the pulse? Told the revolutionary truths that the left must be in the USA. There is no time in our place for the center. No place in our time for the center. 2, the pinpricks of purity tests can be overcome. Stop whining about that. I hear your winces here. This has happened to you, hasn't it? And it hurts you. Your complaints all scream of your own humiliations, losses of face. That means there's no depth, dude. Angry at radicals who shut your centrism down. The left is not a club for you to sit and sip in.